Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sunday Mystery School. I am so excited that all of you are here on this lovely and auspicious day for a conversation like the one that we're going to have today. Hello to the members in my Zoom room, channel members at the mastermind level. I've got a group of you all assembled here. So lovely to see all of you, and looking forward to hearing from you later on in the stream when I ask for your contributions after we go through the text. And also hello to everyone who is joining live on YouTube. I was looking at your comments here. Got a couple of folks from all over Zurich, Nova Scotia. Yes, awesome. If you haven't already, go ahead and drop in the chat. Where are you listening from? Let's help build that connection. All right, so today, Sunday Mystery School, we are continuing our exploration of this series in the tradition of Neville Goddard. And if you are just joining us and this is your first Sunday Mystery School, we have had an intro class and we did do a lesson last week where we have been talking about Neville's original Masterclass presented in 1948, where he walks us through the key ideas that are necessary in his mind, and I think we all would agree, are necessary to really understand, to begin to walk the mastery path. And I just wanted to start today by clarifying that these are ideas that are initiatory in nature. When you begin to study this sacred, ancient, timeless, and eternal wisdom, it is an initiation. Now, I believe all of us understand that what we're studying in the mysteries is literally the nature of the field of reality in which we are currently conscious of dwelling. It happens. This is the way things are and have always been. So in manner of speaking, this is not new knowledge. This is ancient knowledge. This is ancient knowledge that we've always known at a certain level of our being through experience. So what is Sunday Mystery School? Sunday Mystery School is a language training. Sunday Mystery School is learning to speak the language of the mechanics of this reality field that we're already living in and have been living in for a long time. We're learning to put words to it. We're learning to clothe what is really a very intimate, personal, deep, and somewhat private. I mean, really, it feels like a private experience of the mechanics of reality. We're learning to clothe that, to give it life and form and flesh, in a manner of speaking, through our words, through our language. Now, this isn't something that we're just doing brand new for the first time today. This is something that all humans who are aware of the reality field and of the mechanics of reality creation in some way have been doing for countless generations. They've been clothing this reality with language. And so what Sunday Mystery School does is we do a deep dive into the language that the ancients use, and we update it for the liquid modernity of now. Because our language evolves, just like our understanding of what reality is evolves, just like our metaphors that we can use to describe the mechanics of reality, of this reality field, of how it works, of how it operates, and of course, how we can influence it. All of that, all of our context and our relationship to our reality continuously evolves. And that's why this work, which is also a lot of fun, so we could say we play at our work, this work is all about evolving our understanding through the evolution of our language and updating and expanding our relationship to the mechanics of reality creation through our language. So those of you that are gathered here, congratulations. This is language training, and we're going to learn through the medium of language how to interact with the mechanics of the way that reality operates through our language. So we're going to do this in the tradition of Neville Goddard, meaning we're going to look back at the scriptures. And in today's lesson in particular, we're going to continue what we were learning last week, which is our two names, nature, again, form of language, words that encapsulate ideas that we can use as context for our true identity, for who we really are in this reality field. And we're going to get into the first of some ancient stories passed down through the scriptures that convey, encapsulate, like really encode, but in a very beautiful and should we say, timeless way, because it lasted millennia, these stories, uh, sacred truths. And we're going to really update our understanding of these sacred truths through our language and really interpret what has been encoded from the ancients, really in this very ornate and beautiful way, so that we can apply it to our lives. The purpose of studying the mysteries, right? And what are the mysteries? Well, the mysteries are the things that just don't have a single solitary solution. It's the things that we look into. The more that we look into and explore, it seems like the vaster the realm becomes. Well, that is when we start to look at the mechanics of reality creation itself, at what is this experience that we're having, what is reality? That's a question that doesn't have a single answer. That's a question that is a mystery. So we become existential detectives in a manner of speaking, and we're hunting for clues in a manner of speaking. We are seeking, hunting for clues. Another way of saying that is we are seeking to understand more fluidly the context of the reality in which we're living. So that's what we're doing today. And I'm so excited to have all of you here joining me. Shout out to my channel members, those of you that have joined to support the channel. I see we have several of you gathered as well. Yeah, so that's exactly what we're going to do today. And we are going to go ahead and get started. And first, we're going to take this auspicious moment to speak a blessing over this gathering, over all who are connected in this moment through the live stream, all who are listening in the recording. And we're going to speak this blessing over all of humanity in this moment. So I just ask you to join me. We're going to draw our attention and our energy inward and speak words of power together as a blessing. I turn now to go within, drawing my senses inward into the center of my own being. I offer gratitude in this moment for the perfection that is this present moment. In gratitude, we accept that we are, and we declare that we are wise souls, growing healthy, youthful minds. Thank you that we are feeling now the presence of life force energy, awakening and enlivening and healing, making whole our bodies in the physical dimension. Thank you that our relationships are now healed with love, compassion, and understanding. Thank you that we have humbly accepted our power and our responsibility to imagine wisely as sovereign co-creators of the world we share. Thank you that we are inspired by life-expanding, consciousness uplifting possibilities that are manifesting in our lives now. We honor our ancestors, each and every ancestor who has walked this path ahead of us. We feel their presence with us now. Thank you for the wisdom passed down from the ancients, encoded all around us in the spirit of liberating our hearts and our minds. Thank you that together we welcome the inheritance of our bright and beautiful future. And so it is. Beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Shall we dive right into Mystery School? Let's do it. Okay, so in the video description, for those of you watching YouTube, also in the chat for those of you watching YouTube, and also for the Zoom members in the Zoom chat, there is a link to a document, a text that is the text of this lesson. Now, it is not necessary that you follow along. I'm going to be reading from the text, but I understand that it can kind of help you focus to have something to kind of anchor your attention on in the form of a text. So it is available to you should you choose to follow along in the text. That is available for you. And we are going to go ahead and get started. Okay. All right, let's start moving forward by looking back. All right, so in lesson one, part one, which was streamed live last week, also available, the recording on the YouTube channel, we talked about the name of God. And we talked about how that name of God is symbolized in what is known as the tetragrammaton, which is a four-letter or four-symbol representation of the name, which is a communication of the nature of God. And that is in we understand those symbols to be Yod, Hey, Vau, Hey. And so this is the name of God the Father, meaning this is the name of consciousness itself. Yod, I am aware of being. Hey, I am aware of being something. Vau, I become the something that I am aware of being through feeling. And then the final Hey, which is that portal of perception where now I am the thing being perceived. Okay. Now that's the name of the Father in a manner of speaking, meaning the root or source aspect of consciousness. And so we, as individual consciousness units, are, of course, a part of the one and the whole. So part of our identity is that of the Father, or Yod He Vau He. And in this experience of earthly reality, we have a second name which describes what our present experience of the reality field is in relationship to the whole. And so we're going to start with Neville's words by explaining, exploring, and really expanding our understanding of what that name is, the name that we are currently experiencing here on the earth plane. And we're going to call that the name of the Son. Okay, so this is obviously a biblical callback to the father-son relationship, but really, the Father's consciousness itself. The Son is our experience of consciousness as an individual consciousness unit in the reality field. Or another way you could say that is the universe experiencing itself, consciousness becoming aware of itself and creating experiences for itself to have. Okay, so starting with Neville's words here, he says, now let us turn to the Son's name, for he, the Father, source itself, gives the Son dominion over the world. Now, when I was preparing for this lesson and I saw that word, dominion, that is a very consciously chosen word on the part of Neville. He gives his Son dominion over the earth. So I looked up the word dominion because I understand what it means, but I wanted to actually get some synonyms to help us really link into this idea of what have we been given in that blessing that we just spoke. The final sentence says, thank you that we welcome the inheritance of our bright and beautiful future. We are heirs of our bright and beautiful future. We didn't have to do anything to earn it. We are heirs of it by nature of being sons of Source. Okay, so Source gives us the sons, and that's not a gendered term. That's reference to the relationship. Okay, dominion over this earth plane reality. And so when I looked at the word dominion, what I saw was control or the exercise of control, but really a sovereignty. Okay, a sovereignty. It's a powerful word, sovereignty. The second definition of this word dominion is territory or sphere of influence, a realm. Okay, so we've been given dominion, and the earth is our dominion. And the third definition that I see here in this dictionary is a self-governing nation. In this case, under the nominal rule of a monarch. Self-governing nation under the rule of a monarch. So I found that to be interesting because really each one of us, as individual consciousness units, as we grow and evolve and become sovereign, we become a self-governing nation. When we really step in and embody the dominion that is our birthright, remember, it's an inheritance. It's not something we've earned. Dominion over the earth realm is a birthright. And earth, really, the earth realm, is not referring to anything outside of ourselves. It's referring to ourselves. I mean, this is the earth. Like, my physical human body is my earth. And then obviously I have an outer earth and an inner earth, but my relationship with the outer earth is a mirror of my relationship to my inner or personal physical earth. Okay, so really first, if I'm exercising dominion and I am sovereign, that means that first and foremost, I am a self-governing nation. And then from that state of being a sovereign man or woman with self-governed, considering my mind-body complex to be the nation that I rule, then I have this territory or sphere of influence or control, this realm that I operate in, which is the earth plane. Okay? And this is where I exercise control or sovereignty. This is the dominion that Neville speaks of. He, the Father, source itself, consciousness, gives the Son, us in these physical vessels, having an earth plane experience, dominion over the world. You are that Son. We are that Son. We are the great Joshua or Jesus of the Bible. Neville says, you know the name Joshua or Jehoshua, we have collectively anglicized as Jesus. The Son's name, Neville says, is almost like the Father's name. The first three letters of the Father's name are the first three letters of the Son's name. Yod, He, Vau. And then this is where the difference comes in. State of source itself versus the state of the son of source. Again, referring to that relationship. When you add a shin and an ayin, the shin and the ayin, that makes the son's name read Yod, He, Vau, Shin, Ayin. Again, these are metaphysical symbols. Now we're giving them words to understand them, but this is like a mathematical notation that these ancients were using. So they're describing using symbology what these metaphysical ideas are and then the relationships between them. Okay, so Neville says, you've heard what the first three are, Yod, He, Vau. And we're going to review what that means. So Yod means that you are aware. He means that you are aware of something. And Vau means that you became aware of being that of which you were aware. Now, I just want to take a moment here for each of us to click in to a lived experience in this moment of being Yod, He, Vau. Okay? So sense in this moment your awareness. This is a root state where you kind of let go of any stories about what you're aware of, and you simply become aware. Simple awareness. Just become aware of what you're being aware. So a good way to do this is to simply become aware of any noises in the environment, become aware of what your skin feels like, the sensations. Is the air cool or warm on the surface of your skin? Just kind of notice where you are without really giving it too many words. Just kind of notice that you are somewhere. That awareness, that simple I amness is yod. That's what we refer to that as. I am, without any stories attached, just simple awareness. I am. Hey is I am aware of something, which is that exercise that we did of, okay, I'm somewhere without telling too many stories about it. And appears I have a body, like I can feel sensations. Okay. So I'm aware of something. And then vow means that you become aware of being that of which you were aware. Okay. So this is where you look down and you see that there's this body. And when I think about moving something in my body responds to that thought. Okay. So it appears that I am this body. Okay. So that's the first three experientially lived in this moment. Yod, hey, vow. Okay. That's the first three. You have dominion, Neville says, because you have the ability to conceive, imagine, be aware of, and then to become that which you conceive or imagine or become aware of. Okay. Now, in the lived experience, it just happens. That's how seamless it is. We didn't have to do anything to become aware that we're wearing a body and that we're in a reality field. We didn't have to do anything to make that happen. That's just happening. It's just happening on its own, or so it would appear. Yod, hey, vow. Okay. The power of creation is exactly that. So we're experiencing the power of creation in this moment. Okay. Now, here's where that name of the Son is distinguished from the name of the Father, the shin. So Neville says, why put a shin in the name of the Son? Neville says, this is because of the infinite mercy of our Father. He says, mind you, the Father and the Son are one. But when the Father becomes conscious of being man, being human, the Father puts within the condition called man that which the Father cannot give unto himself, did not give unto himself. So when the Father becomes conscious of being man, he puts within the condition of being man, within the software program that is man running on the hardware that is source itself, consciousness itself, the Father, a condition. And that condition is shin. And shin is symbolized to help us understand what shin is as a tooth. A tooth. A tooth, again, we're thinking in the realm of symbolism, and this is language training. So understand that your goal in this moment is to connect these ideas in your mind and in your visualization, like really start to get the transmission going that they represent. A tooth is that which consumes, tears apart, separates, pieces apart, and devours. Okay, breaks down in a way that can be assimilated. I must have within me, the Son, the power to consume that which I now dislike. I, in my ignorance, brought to birth certain things that now I dislike, and I would like to leave them behind me. Were there not within me the flames or the teeth that would consume that which I no longer desire to experience, I would be condemned forever to live in a world with all of my mistakes. But there is a shin, there is a flame, a tooth within the name of the sun that allows the sun to become detached from the states he formerly expressed within the world. This next sentence is super powerful, super powerful. One of my favorite sentences of all time from Neville. Okay, this is the sort of thing that you write upon the walls of your heart because it is timeless truth and conveys incredible power. Man is incapable of seeing other than the contents of his own consciousness. I'm going to say that again. Man is incapable of seeing other than the contents of his own consciousness. So another way of relating to this idea is that when you open your eyes and you look around your world, you observe the people, places, situations, and things, you are seeing the contents of your own consciousness put on display. Okay, so it's like whatever your subconscious believes is true, subconscious, right? So very deep set beliefs and understandings and, like fundamental tenets, your premise about what life is, okay? That is projected out into your experience of the world, okay? So the mirror only ever shows you yourself, okay? So man is incapable of seeing other than the contents of his own consciousness. So most ordinary mirrors, when you put them up in a room and you look into the mirror, you only see what's in the room around you, okay? That's the nature of the mirror. And we understand that that's the nature of this reality. Man is incapable. The mirror is incapable of showing us anything other than the contents of our own consciousness. And this draws back to this idea that we presented earlier in one of our earlier classes at Sunday Mystery School of transcending judgment, transcending condemnation. There is now, therefore, no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. Okay? That means not just that we ourselves are not being condemned by something outside of us. It also means that we ourselves, as we lift our awareness into the state of being the Son, as we assume the identity of being the Son, we cease to condemn that which appears in the mirrors, okay? Because we understand that it's just the contents of our own consciousness put on display. So judging what appears to be another is really just judging an aspect of ourselves. And so this is where this teaching becomes quite pragmatic, quite practical. Like this is literally how we apply it to our day-to-day reality. And this would be the first takeaway. When I see something in the mirrors of my reality, I must understand that that which I'm seeing is latent somewhere within me. And so the only thing to do is to love that thing, meaning to raise it to the level of love. Now, the first step to raising anything that we're encountering in the world, that's the mirror, to the level of love is to release any sense of condemnation. It's very easy in this modern world in which we live to condemn things that we don't like to see, okay? All of us have a basic sense of morality, a basic sense of justice. And when that sense of morality or that sense of justice is offended by what we see in the mirrors, we can be moved towards a state of condemnation or judgment. And we can say, that's not me. That can be the first initial knee-jerk reaction is, well, that's not me. I don't like it. That shouldn't be there. Okay? As we rise in consciousness, we become aware that anything that we're seeing in the mirror is, in fact, us. It really is, in fact, a part of us. Now, it may not be the part of us that we choose to express on a regular basis, but the fact that we are aware of it means it must be a part of us in some way. And so this is where I'm going to add a little piece to this puzzle that hopefully will unlock this idea for you. Many times, what we see in the mirror that, if we're not aware of what's happening, could trigger us to express some sort of condemnation or judgment, is actually the tooth expressed in the name of the sun showing up in the screen of our external reality. The tooth, that which consumes, that which destroys. If you think about it, okay, we're gonna go on a little bit of a tangent here. Follow me on this rabbit hole because this is important. If you think about it, things that we create, things that we both individually and collectively cause through our awareness of being and our intention, whether conscious or subconscious, to rise into visible states in order for something else to replace them, those things must be torn down. Okay? So we build a building on a plot of land, and then we decide we don't like that building anymore. What must we do? We must remove that building. We must tear it down. We must, with the fires or the teeth that are conveyed in this metaphysical teaching as consuming or destroying that which we no longer desire to be. That's how this metaphor relates. We're going to remove that building and clear the land so that which we do desire can be placed upon it and built. Okay? Now, when we're not aware that this is the nature of reality creation, we can be looking at this building and we can see it on fire and being torn down or in a state of decay, or we can see it in the compost process, right? Where, you know, if you've ever been in a compost pile, there's a lot of very interesting, dirty type things happening in a compost pile, right? And if we don't understand that that compost pile is the shin in the name of the being that we are, we can look at the compost pile and say, that's dirty, that's ugly, I don't like it, that's not me, it doesn't deserve to be here, let's get rid of it, right? When we lift our consciousness to the level of being aware that we are the sun, in that state of being the sun, we look at the compost pile and we say, yes, that is doing its job. Yes, the building's on fire, fantastic. We are consuming that and tearing it down, understanding that what we're building actively in our imaginations now is going to be built over and replace what's there, okay? One more analogy or way to relate to this point, because it's so important, then we're going to move forward, okay? Over the last several years here on planet Earth, there have been some very significant events that have occurred in the consciousness of humankind. And a lot of those events have been characterized or could be viewed as being some form of chaos. Okay. Some people have said, well, it kind of feels like the world is on fire. Okay. Like things are on fire. There's, you know, I've even heard people refer to it as like, you know, if you've ever been in a town that had a house on fire, what do people do? They get out of their houses and they walk over and they watch the house burn because it's fascinating to watch something go up in flames. Okay. So whenever there's chaos or things are on fire, it draws a lot of attention. That's just kind of the nature of how things are. So that, you know, anytime something in the so-called world of Caesar is on fire, or there's some element of chaos or things are burning down, it tends to attract a lot of attention, right? So we're looking around us, or we happen to be scrolling social media, and we see that a ton of attention is placed on things which are chaotic or are on fire or are in the process of being burned down, right? And if we're not paying attention and guarding our attention and choosing what we're focusing on within tension, understanding that attention is our creative power in motion, if we're not careful and aware, we can find ourselves sucked over to the curb of the house fire, staring at it, condemning it, saying, oh, look at it go. Okay? The other way to relate to this experience is to completely withdraw our attention entirely from that which is being burned down and get to the drawing board, the architect table, where the blueprints of what's going to replace that building are just waiting to be drawn and conceptualized and formulated, and initially in imagination and later in physical fact, be brought to life. Okay? So are you going to stare at the house that's on fire? Or are you going to go to your architect table and you're going to start to design what replaces it? Okay? Now, this is the master state. When you're on the path of mastery, this is how we learn to relate to situations of chaos in the external world. We say, oh, sweet, we have the opportunity to build what's going to replace that institution or that idea or that way of relating that is on its way out. The shin in the name of God, the name of the Son of God, is doing its job. And now we have the opportunity to choose the new state, which will completely replace the former state. Man is incapable of seeing other than the contents of his own consciousness. Neville continues, if I now become detached in consciousness from this room by turning my attention away from it, then I am no longer conscious of it. There is something in me that devours it within me. It, referring to the room, can only live within my objective world if I keep it alive within my consciousness. Okay, so anything can only live in the mirror as long as we ourselves are showing it in our state. We are featuring it in our state. It's a feature picture in our state, and then we're projecting it towards the mirror, and it lives in the mirror. As soon as we remove that picture, remove our attention away from anything, a state, a way of being, an idea, that shin, which is in me, devours it. It devours that thing. It makes it cease to exist. It can no longer be alive within my consciousness or within my world. It's no longer reflected back to me if I remove it from the projector, which is myself, my own awareness of being. And Neville says this is so important. It is actually the tooth, shin, that flame that consumes in our name as the sons. It is that tooth that gives us absolute dominion. Absolute dominion. Why? Because it gives us the ability to change that which we are aware of. Okay, and he's going to explain this in detail. He says, why could the shin not exist in the name of the Father? For this simple reason, nothing can cease to be in the Father. Father is source itself, which is unending, eternal, and contains all things that exist. All that exists is within the realm. Could even call that geometrically the monad, right? The circle that contains all things within itself. Everything that exists within the Father, and nothing can cease to be in the Father. So if all things that exist are source can't stop being any of the things that exist. He says, even the unlovely things cannot cease to be. If I once give it expression, forever and ever, it remains locked within the dimensionally greater self, which is the Father, or within source itself. But, obviously, we do not want to keep alive within our world all of our mistakes. And by mistakes is meant those things which we imagine to be true about the world that later we realize, oh, actually, that's not what I want to be true about the world. And since I have dominion over the world, I know that I have the power to change that, right? So the mistake is while I was not aware of my power, I gave my power away to another idea or somehow created a mirror-like reflection of something that I don't want to experience anymore. Okay. So I don't want to keep that alive in my world. So the source that I am, in my infinite mercy, I gave to myself when the all that is, consciousness itself became a unit within a human being. And I added the shin to my name in the form of being human. When I became man, the power to become detached from these things that I, in my ignorance, brought to birth in my world. So when I didn't understand my power, maybe I gave birth to some things that I don't want to experience anymore. Well, good thing that I was aware that this was going to happen, and I gave myself the power to remove those things from my awareness. And that's the shin. Neville says, these are the two names which give you dominion. You have dominion if, as you walk the earth, you know that your consciousness is God. Your consciousness is God. Your awareness of being is God, the one and only reality. You become aware of something you would like to express, something you would like to have or be. You have the ability to feel that you are and that you possess, that you have. That which a moment before was simply in the imagination, it was simply imaginal. It's just an idea. And then you have the ability to step into that idea and animate it and become it. And the final result, which is the embodiment of your assumption, is completely outside the offices of a three-dimensional mind, Neville says. He says the final result, which is the way in which the mirror changes to reflect to you the new costume that you're wearing in form of a state of being, that comes to birth in a way that no man knows. There's always a story, right? So let's say I'm aware that I've created this idea in my mind that I am unworthy in some way. I'm not good enough in some way. And then I hear these teachings. I come to Sunday Mystery School and I realize, wait a second, I am an heir to source, to all that is. The Father's name is my name, and I'm currently aware of being the Son. And I have within my name this metaphysical notation symbolic of my power, the ability to consume this idea of I'm not good enough or I'm unworthy in some way. I don't want to give that life or expression anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my conception of myself to say that I am worthy. I am worthy of being the heir. I am worthy of being the Son of God. I am worthy of being the receiver of the inheritance of this bright and beautiful future. I choose that I am enough. I choose that I am in the embodiment of my creative power. Okay. Now the mirror is going to respond to that. And exactly what the story is that circumstances change in order to reflect back to you, because your whole, if that's the flip that you make, your whole reality will literally flip. The whole everything, if you really step in and assume, from not being to being, you're going to flip your entire reality. Now, the exact way, the exact story through which this happens comes to birth in a way that no man knows. And this is also part of the mercy of Source itself. We don't have to conceptualize with our cognitive brains how all of these things will happen. We just have to understand the way that the mechanics of reality work and learn to operate them and then trust in the result. And that's just the way that this is, and that's the way that it's being presented here. So Neville says, if these two names are now clear in your mind's eye, you will see that they are eternal names. As you sit here, you are Yod, He, Vau, He, and you also are Yod, He, Vau, Shin, Ayin. I and my Father, Yod, He, Vau, He, are one, and yet my Father is greater than I, because I have the shin in, and I can remove things from my experience that will remain part of the greater power that my Father is. The stories of the Bible concern themselves exclusively with the power of imagination. Exclusively. That's all the Bible is talking about. That's all the sacred scriptures are talking about, the power of imagination. Really, Neville says, they are dramatizations of the technique of prayer. For prayer is the secret for changing the future. The Bible reveals the key by which man enters a dimensionally larger world for the purpose of changing the conditions of the lesser world in which he lives. Okay, we're going to unpack that just a little bit. In last week's Sunday Mystery School, we were talking about, as an analogy for this creative power that we are, we were using the analogy of the alphabet. And we said, let's say that right now we are aware of being XYZ. And we look over at ABC and we say, actually, I think I'd rather be ABC. Okay, so XYZ appears that there's a distance between the letters, right? There's XYZ at the end of the alphabet, ABC at the beginning of the alphabet. If we raise our consciousness to the level of being the entire alphabet, we are raising our consciousness to the level of being the Father, understanding that we are the source. We are the entire alphabet. From that state, we can then choose to become aware of the ABC. And the shin that is in our name as the Son will devour the XYZ so that ABC can take its place in our expression. The whole alphabet will remain because the whole alphabet is the Father, the source, that monad, perfect circle that contains all things. In this case, in the analogy, it is the alphabet. And yet we, in our experience as the sons, can choose to express just the ABC by consuming what we formerly were expressing, the XYZ. And prayer is the method for shifting the dimension of our awareness from just being 3 letters of the alphabet to the level of being aware of the entire alphabet. That's the key by which we enter dimensionally larger world. That dimensionally larger world is the realm where all things exist. And then we can change the conditions, meaning choose the other letters to express of the so-called lesser world, the part of the whole that we are choosing to experience in time and space in this reality field that we are walking through sensorially in these physical human bodies. Neville says, a prayer that is granted implies that something is done as a consequence of the prayer, which otherwise would not have been done. Therefore, man, the one who prays, is the spring of action. We are the spring of action. This is the idea of we are the operant power. We operate this mechanism. Man is the operant power of the mechanism that is our reality. We are the directing mind. And we are also the one who grants the prayer through the change of awareness. The stories of the Bible contain a powerful challenge to the thinking capacity of man. The underlying truth of these stories, which is that they are psychological dramas and not historical facts, demands reiteration, Neville says, meaning we need to say it again, because it really is the only justification for the stories. With a little imagination, Neville says, we may easily trace the psychological sense in all the stories of the Bible. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Here in the first chapter of the Bible, the ancient teachers laid the foundation that God and man are one, and that man has dominion over all the earth. If God and man are one, then if God and man are one, then God can never be so far off as to even be near. For nearness implies separation. Okay? I'm not near to my body. I'm in my body. I'm one with my body, a human body, right? Same thing with our relationship with God. God and man are one. God's not near to me. He's here with us. We are that monad. We are that source. And our relationship to that source is mediated through that name of the Son. Only difference, I and my Father are one, the Father is greater than I. The reason why the Father is greater than I, because I have the shin, and I can choose what I'm experiencing in the realm of the Father that I am. The question arises, and what is God? God is man's consciousness. God is human awareness. God is a human's I amness. That simple awareness of being, that exercise that we did earlier, we were just simply aware that we're aware. That is our consciousness. Consciousness is the only reality. Consciousness is God. The drama of life, Neville says, is a psychological one, which we bring circumstances to pass by our attitudes rather than by our acts. It's how we think that steers the way that our world spins, and not just how we act. We are not simply 3D creatures. We are higher dimensional creatures having a lower dimensional experience. The cornerstone on which all things are based is man's concept of himself. He acts as he does and has the experiences that he does because his concept of himself is what it is, and for no other reason. Had he a different concept of himself, he would act differently and have different experiences. Man, all humans, all of us, by assuming the feeling of our wish, that which we desire to be fulfilled, if we feel that our wish is fulfilled, we alter our future in harmony with our assumption. For assumptions, though initially false because the shin has not yet been activated, if sustained, that assumption hardens into fact. That sustaining process of sustaining that feeling of the wish fulfilled activates the shin to tear down that which the feeling of the wish fulfilled will replace in the mirrors of our world. Okay. I want to go over this previous sentence. The cornerstone on which all things are based is man's concept of himself. Okay, so this is the idea of self-concept, and it's the cornerstone, meaning the entire building depends on this one piece of the foundation. And that entire cornerstone, that entire building which relies on the cornerstone, that cornerstone is the concept of yourself. So in this case, this building that is built is your life. The life that you are living is built on one cornerstone, and that's your concept of yourself. That's who you believe that you are. Who do you believe that you are? Well, at very basic level, you believe that you're human, or at least you've accepted the fact that you appear to be human right now, meaning you're having a human experience, living in a human body, having human things that are related to being human are happening, right? That's the first thing. But then it's like, all right, who am I beyond that? How you answer that question. Who am I beyond just simply, well, it appears I'm human. I am certain gender, right? Potentially. I have a certain name. Okay, these are all aspects of identity. Now they're parts of the story that you're laying on top of this idea of simply being human. And as you start to build this story, you start to get to this idea of, oh, I'm good at this thing and I'm not so good at that thing. I like these things and I don't like these other things. I eat these things and I don't eat these other things. I think about these things and I don't think about these other things. Okay. So that is your self concept. And then your entire world forms itself around that self concept. Now, there are individuals on this earth who are living lives that are completely different from the life that you are living. And if you looked at the arrangement of their minds, meaning who they believe themselves to be, what is their self-concept, you would see that their self-concept is completely different from you and your self-concept. They are also the sun, and through the way that they have arranged their minds, whether consciously or unconsciously, they have outpictured a world that they are living in. You are also the sun. And through the arrangement of your mind and your self-concept, you have outpictured a world that you are living in. And now you understand that each son of the Most High, each son of God, has the shin built in, that tooth, that flame that consumes, meaning the power. This is the power that liberates our hearts and minds, that liberates our lives. Because anything that we look at and say, man, I really feel like this could be better than what it is. All we have to do is imagine what that upgrade would be. What would the upgrade be? Rather than sitting there and condemning something that appears to be and we don't like, imagine the upgrade and then become aware of being the upgrade. Actively project it out. I don't accept what I'm seeing in the mirrors of my world. I am choosing instead that this upgrade is now the way that things are. And this is being the operant of our creative power. The cornerstone of your entire life is built on your concept of yourself. You act the way you act. You have the experiences that you have because your concept of yourself is what it is, and for no other reason. Your concept of yourself explains everything in your world. It is the master key that unlocks all doors. If you had a different concept of yourself, you would act differently, and you would have different experiences. Okay, so here we are in Sunday Mystery School, and we have really explored in detail two names. The name of Source itself, this field of reality that contains all things. So the mega field of reality, that monad, contains all things, the perfect circle that represents, in a metaphysical notation, the entire universe, all that is, all that exists. And we understand that we are intimately that. And we understand also that in the form of being the offspring created in the image of that, to have experiences, we are also the sun. And we have a sun-like relationship to that master mega field of reality. And that sun-like relationship gives us the ability to create a miniature personal reality around us that we experience. And we understand that that miniature personal reality that we're experiencing is a product of our self-concept. It's who we believe that we are. And we understand that we have dominion over this personal, independent nation that we lead as sovereign creators. We have dominion. We have sovereignty. We have control through the infinite act of mercy that we gave to ourselves in the form of the shin, that which consumes and destroys. That is what gives us this ability to control our reality. Because otherwise, if we did not have that, anything that we became aware of being would persist for forever. And that would not be very harmonious to learning to be skillful creators. Okay, so this earth experience we learn through contrast. We see things that we like, we see things that we don't like, and we choose the things that we like, and we let go of the things that we don't like, and the tooth consumes them. And that's the nature of learning to hold our creative power and be skillful, ardent, loving creators of our reality and heirs of our bright and beautiful future. Pretty good, huh? Pretty good for a Sunday morning, Sunday Mystery School. It's a pretty good revelation, I think. Thank you to Neville for taking the time to outline it in this powerful way. Okay, so for the last little segment of today's class, I'm going to invite those who have joined me in the Zoom room for anything that they would like to contribute. So in the Zoom room, I have the channel members at the mastermind level. We're going to give you an opportunity. Yes, and we have Orlana. Go ahead.
Wonderful class. Thank you so much. So, my question is, what are ways that we can remain in the state of where we want to be?
Absolutely. So the question is, how can we sustain that feeling of the wish fulfilled? Absolutely. Okay,
Exactly.
so from personal experience, I must say that it is crucial to my practice of remaining in the feeling of the wish fulfilled to, on a regular basis, reconnect consciously and presently to the consciousness of being all things, that I amness, that source field that is all things. A lot of people would refer to this as meditation. It is meditation, but meditation can also refer to just like clearing the mind. My meditations tend to have intention behind them. So when I go into the silence, and that's exactly what Neville means when he, at the end of it, he says, let us go into the silence. If you ever wondered what he means by that, it's going into this place where with intention, we become aware that we are everything. Okay. So it's like I become aware that I am everything, and then I make that conscious, intentional decision. I am this. And then I feel myself being that. Okay. So in a, the Bible says, go into your closet, close the doors, right? So it's like, take yourself away from any stimulus on the outside, make this a sacred time for you to commune with your Father, in a manner of speaking, or all that is your I amness.
Right.
Go within, feel that you are everything, and then re-choose, and this should be a daily thing.
Exactly.
Choose to be that which you are choosing to express. And by centering and grounding in time and space in that way, it's a way to really put your roots down into that new state of being. And then that gives you resilience, right? Because deep roots, tree, resilience to withstand the fires that consume, the tooth that consumes, and everything that kind of falls apart through chaos to allow everything to reassemble in the mirror-like relationship with the feeling of the wish fulfilled.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Orlana.
Such a great example.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for that contribution, Orlana. And we have Danny. Go ahead, Danny.
Hello, everyone. This is a little off topic, but let's see if we can show this here. This is a little dodecahedron.
Ooh.
And so on one of the last Neville and Chills, I think you were talking a little bit about the structure of water.
Yes.
And also the shape of the dodecahedron. I just related to that a lot, and I've been trying to project the dodecahedron in some way to be a part of my water as well, to just overall just try to incorporate that into just daily life for me. So thank you for everything today as well. Today has been amazing. There's the dodecahedron too.
Yes,
I like it.
I've got it right here, and then I've got another one. If you look over at my set there, I've got another one. It's a planter.
It is a dodecahedron. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. So it's it's found its way into my awareness too.
Awesome.
Good stuff, Danny. Yeah, thank you so much for that. And I love that crystal there. And a little off topic, but still fascinating. So we'll talk about it for a second here. So the dodecahedron is a geometrical representation of a higher dimension of consciousness. And so it's a way to very pragmatically and practically connect to that dimension of consciousness through a geometry. So it's like a code breaker in the manner of speaking. So by just becoming aware of this, you're tapping into that without having to like really cognitize a lot of things. It's like through the source code itself, you're able to tap into that expanded level of consciousness. So yeah, that's fantastic, and I'm glad that resonated with you.
Thank you for sharing insight on what you just said as well. That's what I needed to hear. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much. All right, I'm going to take a look at the YouTube chat, see how we're doing on YouTube. Hello, everyone. Joining from everywhere. Yes. Read from right to left, the tetragrammaton. Yes. Which is like backwards, but also the correct direction, sort of, for this level of thinking. It's very interesting how that works. We've got Nepal. Wow. Divya, all the way from Nepal. Awesome. John from Jerusalem. Shalom. Peace to all. Yes. And Eliza Warren, welcome to the mastermind. Oh, Eliza, so glad to have you here. That's awesome. Okay, fantastic. All right. All of my friends who are connected on YouTube, we're going to continue this next week. I like to keep these digestible because this is power packed stuff here. This is a revelation, and this is language training. So we talk about it, but the truth of what we talk about is revealed in the silence. So I encourage you all now to do exactly what Orlana and I just spoke of. And at the conclusion of this live stream, rather than just jumping straight into whatever your day brings next, I encourage you to, in the style of Neville, go into the silence, feel your connection intimately with all that is, and choose, once you've really soaked in that feeling of being all things, choose your desired reality. Choose that which you will be aware of being, and put those roots down into the embodiment of it. I'll see you all next week for the continuation of this discussion. I do have another Neville and Chill coming for you all as well, so stay tuned for that. More live streams on the channel. And until next time, imagine wisely, my friends, and I will see you all again next week.